I would just like to say I found this lying around my house the other day. It is definitely an enabling technology as it helps you pick up things like between the cracks or like between your inside your bed. It's also a branch of assistive technology, which is almost always an umbrella term for assistive, rehabilitating, and adaptive technologies. It also includes the process of selecting, using, and including all of these softwares. For example, wheelchair that helps people move around if they can't walk, or those like subtitles for described video for people who are visually impaired, and this claw. You know what I also found under my bed yesterday? This guy right here.
So welcome to Science Part 3 of 3 for the World Scholars Cup curriculum. If you have not done so already, please share this video with anyone you know who would benefit from these type of contents.
Oh, my back. Let's get right into it, guys. First up is prosthetics, which is an artificial device that replaces a body part. This technology is used to replace body parts lost by injury or missing from birth, or to supplement defected body parts. For example, an amputee can get a body part to replace a removed limb. It also includes parts inside the body such as artificial heart or artificial lungs. Hearing aids are simple devices that are used for people who have trouble hearing, and it simply amplifies the sound or makes it clear, similar to that of one of those wireless earbuds normally go around your ear or inside your ear. There's also an implanted skull version that actually sends vibration through the skull, similar to how a human hears himself talk. Current versions rely on electricity to amplify sounds, but in the past people would use bell-shaped physical amplifiers. I might be weird, but I don't think I know anyone who would want to walk around wearing these bell-shaped ear things. It also kind of looks like a danger hazard. I mean, if you like spin around and hit someone in the face, what do you have, like insurance for those earbuds or something? That is why you gotta be happy of the technology you have today, such as super distracting and addicting video games and phones. Next up is walkers.
Rick! Walkers! Everyone, shots within 10 feet of the line.
No, not zombies from The Walking Dead, but simply a rectangular frame for disabled or elderly people who need additional support to maintain balance or stability when walking. Some versions have wheels, and most versions are made of very lightweight materials. Next is wheelchairs, which is a chair where an individual who is incapable of walking can sit on and propel themselves forward using their hands and arms by turning the wheel or being pushed back by others. The first instance of transporting people or disabled people using wheelchairs happened back in the 3rd century BC in China. Most modern versions are usually capable of being propelled by the person sitting on the hands, with the addition of the handle wheel at the sides that make it much easier to actually propel yourself. The frames are usually made of lightweight materials such as aluminum and titanium to make it very easy and lighter to propel yourself, and some wheelchairs actually fold up. As well as racing wheelchairs, which are just wheelchairs optimized for speed and endurance. The main difference includes that the wheels are tilted inwards a little bit to make hand propulsion much easier, as well as sharp turning much smoother. The entire chair is built out of lightweight carbon composites, and the chair is used in a kneeling position. Hey Siri, tell me a joke.
Where do boats go when they feel sick? To the dock.
How do I react to this? Voice recognition, put simply, is a technology in computational linguistics that allows a computer to convert human voice into digital data and text, similar to the subtitles on this YouTube video. It first does this by converting the analog volume into a digital file to read, and then uses neural networks and deep learning by analyzing all the patterns and converting it into text. Some Domotic control systems use this to makes and receive simple commands such as Alexa, play me Old Town Road. This technology also allows people to turn speech to text really quickly, avoiding the entire typing. I mean, who wants to type anymore? So old. The most rudimentary acoustic recognition softwares began in the 1950s, and the first practical speech recognition system appeared in the 1980s, and then of course it was popularized in 2010, and then Siri in 2011. Next up is eyeglasses, which are transparent lenses used to correct the eye's inability to focus, either for short or far-sighted, or to protect the wearer from bright light. The first glasses were created in the year 1290 in Italy. Corrective glasses work by refracting light towards a specific point. Convex lenses used for far-sighted and or away from a specific point, such as to correct nearsightedness. Sign language to speak conversion is a method that converts gestures of the hand, usually from a mute person, into synthesized voice for non-disabled individuals to hear. This technology is actually relevantly new. It was first started in 2010, and which the glove usually uses acceleration and position sensors attached to the hand, with most recent versions using a glove with built-in sensors. The position data of the hand is then processed by a computer and turned into either voice or text. Adaptive eating devices are specialized dining utensils that assist people with disabilities, such as difficulty of closing the hand or lifting of the arm, or poor dexterity to help them eat. For example, safe straws, spoons that are bent towards the user to help with delivery of food to the mouth, utensils that clip onto the hand without grabbing, and plates that grip onto the table and have lips to prevent food from exiting and falling out. Next up is a device called the Optophone, which was invented by Dr. Edmund Fournier in 1913, Birmingham University. It is one of the first sonification application and uses selenium photosensors to detect black print letters and converts them into audible output that can be interpreted by the blind. Few were built and reading was very slow, only about 1 word per minute. Now on to 3D printing, also known as additive manufacturing. How it works is that the machine adds material in a procedural way, usually adding layer by layer by layer of plastic, and allow for the creation of complex geometric shapes out of materials such as plastic, metals, and ceramic. It can be paired with 3D scanning technologies to create replica copies of cool things such as Swiss guards or prosthetic hands. Because of its ability to create uniquely geometric and complicated shapes, 3D printed bone implants can be tailor-made for patients and printed out of titanium to be much less intrusive. So first are 3D printed houses that are designed to solve global homelessness. What is interesting is that these houses are only created in 24 hours and cost only $4,000 to make in developing countries. This technology can scale incredibly quickly and can completely transform, like if you saw our socials video, can completely transform those shanky towns that have destroyed houses and just places that are impoverished. The only downside to this technology would be the amount of space available to print out these houses, as especially in densely populated areas and cities where it's difficult to build these types of houses on top of other houses and buildings, it becomes really hard to find space to print on the spot because these houses are not portable yet, so you can't print them in one spot then move them to the other side of the city. You print them one spot and they stay there, and it's kind of hard to, print them on top of other buildings, especially in destroyed areas, as well as 3D printed prosthetic limbs, which are limbs that can be printed in only 24 hours to match any specification your body needs. Why this technology succeeds over all the others out there is because these models can be created in only 24 hours to be extremely unique to your body and whatever you need and your specifications, so it can help a lot. It can be especially useful in developing countries, as you don't need some complicated plastic molding material to make limbs for people who might be suffering. And it works because you're not manufacturing tons of these very specific and unique limbs. You're only making 1 or 2 for a person. So it can create a bunch of very specialized and detailed limbs in a very short amount of time. Next up is 3D printed helmets, which the Vatican uses now for soldiers in the area. The original steel helmets were scanned and then printed out using 3D printers. The reason why these work so well is because the 3D printed materials are very cheap, it's very quick to make. They are lighter and much more comfortable, as the original iron helmets used to become very itchy and annoying in the summer heat. while these helmets actually have a built-in ventilation system in them. Okay, now on to the next bullet point of the curriculum, which is all about lifestyle choices. First up is, should vegans be allowed to eat lab-grown meat? This is meat that is cultured from animal stem cells outside of the animals and then grown in man-made environments. This eliminates the need to raise the whole animal and produce the meat by itself, increasing efficiency as not all of the animal is used anyway. Prominent Israel rabbi Churlo also states that lab-grown pork should be considered kosher because it is clean and a solution to environmental damage. But the question is, should vegans still be allowed to eat this type of meat, as it still is part of the animal, right? It's animal cells. I have to say that this would definitely be one of the solutions to global warming, as methane makes up approximately 10 to 15% of all the global gas emissions in our world. And just having meat that is grown in a lab instead of like growing grass then killing the animal, it's just much more efficient and saves a lot of energy. Next is products for left-handed people. Our Harvard study actually concluded that people who are left-handed are more susceptible to mental illness and make up to 10 to 12% less average income than a right-handed person. Products such as tools that make use of left-handed people are more ergonomic and less dangerous. Many tools today are designed with the prefix that they'll be used by right-handed people, which makes them more difficult and more dangerous for left-handed people to use. Now on to online payments. First up is EFTPOS, which is an acronym that stands for Electronics Funds Transfer at Points of Sales, and is the payment system based off payment cards such as credit or debit cards, or other substitutions and payment terminals such as card machines. EFTPOS originated in the 1980s in the United States and uses the first payment terminals that are connected to a national and then later global network where payment cards can be used for bank transactions right at the point of a sale. When the technology was first introduced, the world was kind of slow to catch on, but now most of the developed regions of the world use this technology as a form of monetary transactions. Next up are CAPTCHAS, which is a term developed in 2003 by Louis von Ahn, Manuel Blum, Nicholas J. Hopper, and John Langford that stands for Completely Automated Public Turing Test to tell computers and humans apart. It's kind of like that prove to me you're not a robot sign at the beginning of those forms you fill out to make sure you're not a scammer or logging into some fake ID. Typically works by showing you a bunch of images. That is basically hopefully common sense, although I somehow always get them wrong because it's so blurry. But it's supposed to be common sense. That way robots won't be able to pick out the common features that us humans recognize very easily.
No, that's not a street. Is that a street sign? It's on the street and it's a sign. Those are some signs. There might be some signs in here. I don't know. Apparently I'm just wrong. Come on.
However, with the advent of more and more capable AI systems out there, CAPTCHAs will have to become more and more complicated, potentially engaging in some sort of arms race with more complicated CAPTCHAs systems leading to more intelligent AIs. Now, QR codes, which are a two-dimensional information encoding system designed in the 1990s by first for the Japanese auto, readable by optical sensors such as cameras, phones, laser pointers, and can store a fair amount of text such as URLs, or more importantly, banking transactions if you want to buy something. For example, in China, QR codes-based payments through services like WeChat is very popular and only requires a mobile phone to scan and process the QR codes. As well as it's very easy to actually just go and create a QR code in our own world. I mean, there's a bunch of websites out there. Yeah, we'll pause the video right now and scan this. Let me just zoom. Scan that QR code. Let's see where it takes you. Now, payment terminals. These are devices that interface with other devices and credit cards and allow merchants to quickly capture the payment information of credit cards to make transactions, usually using magnetic or RFID readings. Examples include traditional and contactless credit card machines. Next is Magstripe. This is an earlier form of payment technology used on payment cards for identification that incorporates a series of magnetically charged bands integrated into a payment card. When swiped across a card reader, the bands are read, allowing for information to be transferred from the band onto the card reader. This technology is simpler and does not require computer circuitry and cannot be made with contactless payments, and is actually considered very primitive, as it's very easy to steal credit cards nowadays with this type of technology. Now, a chip and a pin is an evolved payment technology that used on payment cards for identification that incorporates an integrated circuit within the card to be inserted into the payment terminal. To complete a transaction, the user must first insert the integrated circuit into the terminal and then enter a security pin. Most recent integrated circuits also contain contactless payments. This payment method came after magnetic strip readings, but usually include magnetic for backwards compatibility. Next is wireless payments. This is the transaction of currency without the physical contact of credit cards, pins, or your phone. These are transactions of currency without the physical contact of devices. It's usually completed by waving or just slightly tapping the card over the terminal. Credit card wireless payment works when the card comes close to a magnetic field created by the transaction machine and powers the chip of the card. This establishes a connection with the transaction machine, and once that connection is secure, the card can start sending over data to the machine, such as the PIN, the credit card number, and all of that type of stuff. For security reason, the machine goes through an entire automated process, such as double checking with the bank, checking your credit card files, basically, and contacting your supporters, such as like Visa. Here in Canada, at least, the highest you can pay wirelessly is $100, mainly to prevent scams, as you don't need any PIN or anything to pay. Just tap like that, you know? This payment technology has actually allowed people and have made people to buy up to 25% more things than they would have if they used a normal credit card, mainly because of how easy it has gotten for them to buy stuff. Another set of communication protocols evolved from RFID, which also known as radio frequency identification, which allows for two electronic devices, usually one being a mobile device such as a phone, to communicate between each other without the use of local Wi-Fi or other internet connections, and send money. Recently, NFC, which is a strategy for paying near field communication, has become very popular, such as Apple Pay. This allows the user to move the phone close to the terminal, similar to a wireless card transaction, and allows them to pay for whatever they're buying. So what would happen if electrical energy was just all of a sudden was to just stop and wouldn't work, and we would run out for whatever reason? Well, let me just tell you, we'd be in a very big problem. Not only because our phones would die in a few days, but also because there would be no Wi-Fi, no cellular data, no, there wouldn't be anything to do. So you wouldn't be able to check your Instagram, your Snapchat, and most importantly, you wouldn't be able to watch these YouTube videos you're watching right now. It would be a catastrophe, absolute, just insane. Oh yeah, as well as the less important thing that I had to write down on the script, that there wouldn't be any food, so you can't cook it, you can't transport it. But that's not the biggest of problems, guys. Now, is Google Maps actually making us dumber? According to CBC and a study from University College London, when you use GPS too much, your hippocampus and prefrontal cortex does not develop as much as people who commit to memory and problem solve their way to navigate and find themselves around the city. I will add a link to this file, or you can find it on the World Scholars Cup curriculum in the description down below. Now, medical tricorders are these portable, small, handheld scanning devices from Star Trek to help people diagnose any injury, any illness, or any disease they may have on their body. Real-life counterparts in the form of portable disease diagnostics are also being developed, such as the DXTER kit and portable cameras that add contrast on injuries to make diagnostics easier. As well as babelfish, which are these imaginary creatures from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and these little fish that you'd put in your ear and they would translate any language into English or whatever language you spoke. Similar technologies such as wireless headphones with transactions is being developed in real life. And finally, hoverboards. No, not these, but the fictional form of personal transportation popularized by Back to the Future that resemble a skateboard but levitates off the ground to reduce friction. Real-life levitation boards have been experimented with, but they either lack battery life, such as the Hendo hoverboard, or need a magnetic rail system, such as the Lexus hoverboard. Propeller-driven versions have also been tested and successfully work, such as the Omni's propeller-based hoverboard. Now, have technologies allowed us to become more, or have they allowed us to become less creative? Well, screenwriting software seem to do that, such as Script Wizards, which creates an entire plan for you as all the acts and helps you write the entire play by sort of just filling in the boxes. However, I have to say that technology has made it much easier for us to create all of this array of art, such as Photoshop, GarageBand, and Blender give you a new set of tools to create, as well as the fact that most people in developing countries are now having access and are slowly getting access to computers, which help them express their art and whatever they want to do. Now onto a computer program called I-18N, which refers to the word internalization, with 18 letters in the word internalization, starting with I and N. Simple enough, right? What this term means is that the computer program can change and adapt to all types of languages without any engineering changes in the code of a website or anything. You just put the program and it automatically changes. What this term means is that it's a computer program that changes a website or any piece of code into any language you want without actually altering the base code itself, which makes this sort of media or this website accessible to many more people. First up is the archaic abacus, which is a simple counting system with beads that basically move around. Next up is slide rules, which is what students used in schools instead of calculators before the year 1972. Using multiple base systems and specific radio frequencies, automated response systems such as clickers work in competitive learning environments. Finally is the Scantron, which are the mark sensing machines that we all hate on our multiple choice tests. How the machine works is actually relatively simple. Simply put, it scans the amount of light that passes through your worksheet or the piece of paper, the multiple choice test, and it senses when no light passes through the right answer choice. So that is it for the science section of the World Scholars Cup. Wow, it has been such a journey finishing these 3 videos. I hope you enjoyed them, and if you did, please do me a favor and share this video with your friends and your delegation. Post it on your Facebook, on your Twitter, using the links down below. You can simply click on the link down below and share it about. That would be a very big favor you can do on my part, as I do spend a lot of time making these videos. Shout out again to my friend Peter for helping me edit this. You can find his amazing spaceship organization in the links down below. And until next time, stay productive. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.